The killer would not care about getting caught. These are all quotes from Damien, obviously.
Well, the first point I would make is that those aren't quotes from Damien. We don't know what Damien said. And that's an important distinction to make. Now, I'm not even saying that Ridge is lying here or anything like that. I'm not accusing him of that, but I'm saying there's no recording of the interview, which is just asinine, stupid. It's absolutely stupid to not, and even at that time, there are small portable recorders you can put on anywhere. Cops had them in their pockets half the time. And again, you're right. It would be insane. It would be insane for Damien Echols to sit in an interview, and the way Josh writes it, as though he sat there and said, well, you know that the younger the victim is, the more innocent they are, and the more innocent they are, the more power the person would derive from killing them. Of course. I mean, I can tell you with a fair amount of certainty that no suspect is going to say that. What happened there
also states that Damien stated that the younger the victim would be more innocent, and in turn more power would be given the person doing the killing.
Right.
Okay. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay, those are your words.
Mm-hmm.
Well, did you pick that up when you were studying to be a Catholic?
No.
Exactly like that, but I guarantee you it was much more like that than Damien. I mean, you're picturing like when you read the notes, and especially the report written later, compare it to the answer to the other's questions. He's scared. He's giving up biological samples. He's giving up polygraphs. And then he looks him in the eyes and says, well, they kill them because they're younger and they're more innocent. And the more innocent, the more power. It's not what he said. I guarantee you that's not what he said. And I guarantee you when they say, he says, I think he misquoted him there when he said that he wouldn't be afraid of the freeway.
It also
states
that Damien stated that the younger the victim would be more innocent, and in turn more power would be given the person doing the killing.
Right.
Okay. Did you say that?
Yes.
Be afraid of the screams. Again, you have to understand how the read technique works. During this interview, my opinion and I'll say assumption of this is how that conversation was going is, well, they were killed right there. Don't you think? I would think the killer would be worried about them screaming. I don't know. Do you think maybe they weren't worried about them screaming because they were right there next to the highway? Yeah, that makes sense. And the neighborhood's right there, so I guess with the probably with the highway and the neighborhood right there, they probably didn't have to worry about them screaming. Yeah, probably not. I mean, do you think the killer probably even liked the screaming, right? Yeah, that's how the read technique works, and that's why I don't like it. And it's a shitty way to interview, and you can tell as you pick apart the answers to a lot of these questions that that's what was happening. The consistency in the way the answers are written make no sense other than the interviewer was making suggestions and that the respondent, the suspect, was just basically answering the questions or answering his opinion on suggestions. And in this case, and I will say, I'm not making a call innocence or guilt right now, but I will say that this first few days of investigation, I am thoroughly disappointed in, and I'm sure I'm walking on stuff you're going to ask later, Mike, but to write something in a report, and this was Durham, I believe, to write in your official report admission through lack of denial.
For me personally, the most surprising part was Damien Echols' alibi. I've always believed, I thought when we got to this point, based on what the known narrative has always been, because everybody based his alibi on what he said. But as you guys both know, that oftentimes innocent people don't know. You ask them what they were doing precisely at certain times 4 or 5 days ago, and it was just another day to them. And so
unless something very significant happened,
right?
That day,
yeah,
that's fine.
And so if they were innocent of the crime, then it's expected that they may not know. So we moved away from Damien's statements and looked at other people's statements and found that there's 7 or 9 witnesses that had eyes on him, 7 that had actually eyes on him at a friend's house with his family at exactly 7 p.m., corroborated by the fact that they were waiting for the prom episode of Beverly Hills 90210 to air.
And somebody won $10,000 at the Splash Casino that night.
Exactly,
so that would, yeah.
Exactly right. And then, I think I started on this earlier, but to finish the point was that Damien, reading his book and stuff after he was out of prison and interviews he's given since then, he's always talked about the alibis being the girls on the phone late at night. And I started to say, Peretti at trial said the time of death was 1 to 5 a.m., which, by the way, doesn't fit with Jesse Miskelly's confession. But Miskelly's confession didn't come into that trial. But then the prosecutor, Vogelman, flipped that, and in the closing argument said that the time of death was between 9 and 10 p.m. because he had to fit it into Narlene Hollingsworth's statement. So now Damien Eccles is trying to talk about where he was at the time of the murders as between 9 and 10 p.m. because he doesn't know when the murders happened, because they actually did happen, I believe,